For someone who lives in chronic doubt or you just constantly overthinking, stick around to the end of this video. This is how I was able to effectively shift my paradigm from believing that the feeling of doubt means that something is wrong or I'm not doing something correct or it's not working out, to believing that, okay, because this feeling of doubt exists through the law of polarity, that means that the opposite emotion also rests inside me, which is clarity. And through the law of assumption, I can just tap into that state with this level of awareness. Stick around. If this is your first time seeing me, what's up? It's your girl Mo. Act like you know that this is your show, so let's go. I'm gonna be looking over my notes occasionally because this is like a mini download that I got. So like I said, through the law of polarity, right? Every doubt is evidence of its opposite being just as real. Meaning that if you feel uncertainty, that's proof that clarity exists as well. When you pair that way of being, hence being still, engaging in acts of stillness to come to the awareness of the law of polarity, because spiritual law isn't something that you necessarily, from my experience, it's not something that you have to believe in. It's something that you have to just do and be in order to see that, okay, being in alignment with the law works. You don't need to believe it because it is truth. And when you consistently practice this level of being, this level of stillness within these laws, that is when the belief forms, because you're no longer striving to prove that you believe something in order for it to be true. That's not how spiritual law works. Then when you pair the law of polarity, this way of thinking from the law of polarity with the law of assumption, what you assume to be true becomes true. So that's kind of where the shift happens. Like you can assume that when you feel doubt, you can assume that this means it's not working, whatever you're experiencing isn't working, or you can assume that your doubt is the friction of stepping into alignment, because you know that because doubt exists, clarity is also present. If you're new to concepts like this and it's not really making sense, but you're still attracted to it, you've watched to this point, I made Mogul's mini method for people like you. It's actually a friendly beginner guide to help you ground in your power, shift your perspective, and get aligned without overthinking the entire process, because I used to be someone who would just overthink the entire process of manifestation, of getting in alignment, when the truth is you are already in alignment because you have the desire. You cannot desire something that you are not already in alignment with. And for those who have been here, or if you're new to me, I made Mogul's method, which is the step-by-step guide on how to master your life via spiritual law. I give you 7 of them, and the law of assumption is actually one of the laws that I get into, basically breaking down what it is, why it works, and how to apply it. And it's like that for every single chapter, not just the ones discussing spiritual law. Nonetheless, though, that's how I've really been able to get a hold of my way of thinking these past few days, is just becoming aware of the law, stillness, and focusing on what I want to expand. You can't really you can't expect to get what you want while focusing on what you don't want. So if more money is what you want, you have to focus on the money that you already have. You can't focus on the lack thereof and expect abundance to find you. Stillness is a very good way to practice your awareness. Stillness is really just a way of being that I'm coming into the awareness of. Stillness doesn't mean that you're just not doing anything. It's simply just it's just a knowing. It's a stillness. It's a conviction within yourself that you are this, you have this, and all your needs will be met. It's like, I was watching this creator on YouTube, and she was talking about how, to be still, how she practices being still is sitting and thinking to herself, what is my name, without saying her name. And in doing so, it creates the feeling of knowing, because you know your name. No one has to say your name or call your name for you to know your name. You don't even have to verbalize or think of your name for you to know your name. So stillness is about living in that knowing. It's about resting in that knowing that your needs will be met, that whatever it is that you're attempting to attract into your work field is already here by that way of being, which is stillness, which is convicted in a knowing. Takes practice, and that's why I make all my custom guides that are built around the practice of this way of being, this practice of this level of awareness. So if you're a beginner to this, Mogul's mini method is super beneficial for you. And if you're kind of like, you know, at that level where you're beyond learning definitions of frequency, vibration, energy, learning what this is, what these concepts are, and how to practice them and incorporate them in your daily life, because, you know, for me, spirituality is more of a lifestyle. I'm very passionate about it, and I think everyone should know about it. The concepts shouldn't be as esoteric as we make them seem, because they're literally, like, they run this world, they govern this reality, and more people need to be aware of that. And if you're someone like me who's pretty advanced, you know, you're aware of spiritual law, you're aware of these key concepts of even, you know, hermetic principles, Mogul's method is a really great guide for you to just be able to tap into your identity, shed layers of your self-concept, and rewire your mindset in order to attract and align your frequency with the life that you desire. All of my custom guides are frequency aligners, so you are able to effectively call in what it is that you want with ease instead of the struggle. Hopefully this video found you very, very well. That is how I use the law of polarity and the law of assumption to kind of revert my way of thinking when I feel feelings of doubt or inadequacy or fear, because I know that when I feel these feelings through the law of polarity, the opposite feeling exists. So if I can just assume that this feeling means that the other is present, and it is through the law of polarity, I'll be able to tap into that feeling of clarity more instead of doubt, and I'll be able to assume a different state, which is bringing me closer to the desired reality that I'm already in alignment with, because I'm able to visualize and conceptualize it as mine. Love you. Hope this found you very, very well.